G'day, I'm Josh, and this is the Cruiser. It's a 94 model 80 series Land Cruiser, 4.5 petrol, running a 6-inch lift, 4-inch suspension and 2-inch body lift. The car came with a 5-inch Tough Dog kit, a TJM bull bar, and a draw system. I've since added IPF bodies, terrain tamer winch, fishing rod holder, because I love my beach fishing. The original 5-inch springs were sagging, so I replaced them with 4-inch ones and added a 2-inch body lift. I fitted front and rear 4-wheel drive system auto lockers, 35-inch Nicky Thompson Baja claws, and a return to centre steering dampener to keep it all under control. When I'm running tyres like this at the right pressures, traction's not an issue. I custom made these steel rock sliders so the seals don't cop any further damage, and currently they're working very well. It also has a part-time kit fitted, which saves unnecessary wear on the front end. I custom made this rear bar out of 50mm Gauss pipe, and it saved me many trips to the panel beaters. I removed the rear seats and extended the draw system all the way through so I can sleep in the back. It has a cargo barrier fitted behind the rear seats to protect me from loose objects when I'm off-road. It has a 70-litre stainless water tank, a 12-volt pump and a tap at the rear. I've also fitted a 600-watt inverter to run my electric blanket during the colder months. It has a custom centre console with a fridge and also provides a mount for my in-cab winch controls. The dual battery system powers the hot water shower, the inverter, the amplifier for the stereo and the 12-volt water pumps. We spend a lot of time on the beach, so I fitted electronic rust protection unit and dip breathers for frequent water crossings. Future plans for my truck are to fit a set of extractors, a straight-through exhaust, a set of remote canister shocks and a rooftop tent. The thing I like the most about four-wheel driving is it allows me to access the remote beaches that standard vehicles can't.
I'm Piglet, and this is the Fat Rosa.
I'm Blackers, and this is the Navara.
We're from 4x4 Megastore Racing. The Fat Rosa is basically, it's a 90 model Daihatsu Feroza cut down into an extra cab ute. It's running Nissan GU Patrol running gear underneath it, GQ rear end. It's got air lockers, V6 Commodore, auto transmission, Hilux transfer case. What's yours, Blackers?
D22 Navara on GU chassis, GU diffs, air lockers, EFS suspension, 5-litre injected Tickford motor. Yeah, very different.
The Pig actually started out its life as a Daihatsu Scat. In the comp scene, I actually did a backflip in it, totally wrote the truck off, so we rebuilt it, straightened the chassis. Couldn't find a cab that was good enough. All the cabs were totally rusty out there, the old Scat ones, so we picked a Feroza cab and yeah, put that on. The first 3 foot of the chassis is still the old Daihatsu Scat. Then we've grafted a Toyota 4Runner chassis to that. We've now got Nissan GU Patrol front diff, Nissan GQ Patrol rear diff, Toyota Hilux transfer case, V6 Commodore engine, the Commodore auto transmission. We're running a motorbike front disc brake to use as the handbrake. It's a licorice of all sorts. It's basically a lolly bag of truck. It's a total factory Feroza, but it's out of 101 different factories.
Well, mine on the other hand is all factory Nissan. GU chassis, GU front diff, GU rear diff, air lockers, EFS suspension, a D22 cab, something very different, very small, a lot of room on the inside of the competition so we can get in and out very quickly. 5 litre Tickford motor, Windsor, a lot of torque down low.
In the competition, the winch stages, they set them up as technical stages and as speed stages as well.
Winch setup's very different. 100mm wider drum to start with, air free spool, which activates off a separate compressor at a flick of a switch. Twin motor setup, gives the motor more torque, winch more torque, and also 24 volt through 12 volt motors, which obviously makes them go a lot faster and a lot harder.
I'm too doing the same thing with my winch. I'm currently running the standard 8,000 pound high mount winch with the 6.5 horsepower 12 volt motor in it, but it's all going to 24 volt, widened drum, air free spool, all the buttons and whistles.
We carry a wide range of spares. We carry long and short CVs in a container behind the seats, winch motors in storage cases, base cases behind the cab, a wide range of tools, anywhere from your standard screwdrivers, pliers, right up to air tools. These days it's virtually all got to be carried on board on the car, otherwise penalty for going back to camp getting spares.
I've tried to keep all my weight down low in events like Outback Challenge, where it's a lot of high speed. You've got to carry all your spare parts, spare fuel, all your food and water, all the things that you think may be a necessity in an event that may give you an issue is basically in behind the seats and down low to keep the weight down low. I've tried something a little bit different with tyres. For a lot of years I've been running Mickey Thompson's, but I've just recently gone to the new MTZ tyre they've put out. The MTZs are a lot more direct. They don't tend to slide off rocks sideways, and I feel a lot more comfortable with them at high speed.
Well, we've gone to a bigger tyre actually. We've gone from Piggy's 35s up to our 37s. They're a comp spec tyre, they're nice and soft. They're a softer compound, so they'll actually grab a rock and let you crawl over the rock. Running the right pressure is very good at high speed as well.
Bar work and trays for a comp vehicle, they're literally purpose built for each vehicle. With the tray on this truck here, it's all custom alloy. The tray is actually that light that the spare tyre that sits on it weighs more than what the tray is. It's just there for sheer aesthetics only. The bar itself, it's mainly the actual cradle that holds the winch. We've just put some wings out the side just to slightly protect the body. The roll cages, we actually have them chassis mounted to get extra strength in as well.
We've done something a little bit different. We've welded some tube to the roll cage, made a spigot that goes up to the roof, and made our rub bars removable. If you do happen to rub a tree and bend the roll bars, simple thing, undo 8 bolts, put a new piece of tube on, paint it up, and it's ready to go again.
I do the sport because I love it. It's my hobby. I just like going out there running amok, having fun with the crowd, whooping it up, and just enjoying the sport.
It's for the enjoyment of it. You go out, you enjoy it, you're doing it with your best friend in the car beside you. You always like to be competitive, but at the end of the day, you go home, you've had a good weekend, car's still on its wheels and drivable, you're happy as Larry.
Hello, my name's Alistair. It's my Defender 90 and my camper trailer. My Defender 90 I bought 5 years ago. It's a 300 TDI diesel. We owned it for 2 years in the UK before shipping it to Queensland, where we then did 45,000 k's around Australia towing our camper trailer. My wife wasn't prepared to part with it, no, she wanted to bring it out. In fact, actually we had it built and designed for the Australian climate, so the idea of having a soft top put on it and some other extras like the twin batteries and the long range fuel tank and things like that were done in the UK for Australia. Bringing the vehicle in by ship is very easy, but you have to have owned the vehicle and lived with it for 12 months in the UK before you can actually ship it to Australia. Since having the vehicle and since having it done, I've obviously put on the bull bar with winch and new suspension all round, the drawers in the back. Obviously we've also got the fridge in the back now, and the bikini top as well. I find the suspension setup great. I had the old man Emu suspension set up on a challenge truck in the UK, so I'd already had many a times of beating the suspension around and giving it a good testing. So obviously when I wanted to put a suspension system on this, I jumped at the old man Emu, having already experienced it in the past. Tow's brilliant. Tows very well. The combination of the engine and the combination of the Land Rovers being able to tow well anyway. I mean, this vehicle can tow 3.5 tonne anyway legally. The motor's a 2.5 litre turbo diesel intercooled engine. No electronics, so it's pretty simple. There's plenty of power output with that. More than enough. You know, it gives you can cruise all day at 100, 110, not a problem at all, and still returns between 9 and 10 litres per 100k. Spotlights have got IPF. I've got the IPF Extreme Sport. I've got one fog and one spot. The colour and the paint job, I've got to really say, is my wife. My wife decided that she wanted a Monte Carlo blue, which is a Land Rover colour, and she wanted the black mohair soft top, and so that's what we got it done in. This is a permanent four-wheel drive car, so it's always running in four-wheel drive high ratio. If you want to go off-roading, you just put it into low ratio and off you go. And obviously when you get to a tricky bit, you slip it into diff lock, and then what the diff lock is, it transfers 50% of the power to the back wheels and 50% to the front wheels. The tyres I run are BFG all-terrains. Main reason being is I believe you get what you pay for. You get a really good wear out of them. You get a good amount of Ks out of these tyres. These are tyres we went around Australia on. They're still good. They're coming to the end of their life, but they're also the tyres that have been on the car for 5 years that I've owned it. Tread plate on the top here is mainly designed to stand on. Down the side of the car we've got a tread plate as well as at the very back. This is just aesthetics, just keeps the car looking tidy in the places that usually get marked in day-to-day use. We also have side steps. These side steps are tread plated as well, and their idea is to protect from logs. Getting ready for our trip around Australia, we actually had a tent and we had all of our gear, and we went to Fraser Island for the weekend and found that the car was just too small to carry all of the bits that we needed to go around Australia. So we had to have a rethink, and that's then when we looked at the camper trailer, because it has storage inside and obviously folds out to a larger area and a lot easier to put up than a normal tent. We do plan to do some big trips again. We also plan to do some sort of 2-3 week holiday trips. On our trip around Australia, we didn't really see the whole of New South Wales. We didn't see the whole of Queensland. We saw a large percentage of it. Main reason being with that is we didn't want to miss out on something in WA, but see something in New South Wales which we can do at any time. So we've still got these sort of trips planned for New South Wales and Queensland to do in sort of holidays and 2 and 3 weeks here and there. I've actually been into four-wheel driving since I was 16. I've had about 28 Land Rovers in my time, of all variants of the Range Rovers, the Discoveries, all the different series, the long wheelbase, short wheelbase Defenders. I've also run Land Rover clubs in the UK as chairman for numbers of years. Quite really sad really, if you get down to the point. I'm also a Land Rover off-road driving instructor, so I've done a bit of off-roading in my time. For me, it always has been and always will be Land Rovers. And being a POM, you're going to have a POM truck.
My name's Paul, this is my 100 series dual cab. These are my 3 best mates, Tent, Tinny, Quad, my girlfriend Jess. Make and model of the truck, it's a 05 Land Cruiser, V8 100 series, been cut, converted into a dual cab. The dual cab conversion was done by Trinity Smash in Cairns. It includes cutting the back, putting the tray on. They also put the toolboxes on. The canopy was done by DNC Duncan in Cairns, and the side curtains were done by Merino's in Cairns. Up the front is TJM bull bar, 9000 Premier winch, UHF aerial. The spotlights, I've got 3, 2 spots and 1 spread in the middle. They're 65 watts. Sidebars are TJM, full length with checker plate top. When I got the Cruiser, it was all standard. I needed a bit more power for towing, so I did some research and the intercooled supercharger was the best option that I could find. It came complete from a Brisbane company, I think it was Billet, fitted by SVS, Lee Holman in Cairns. He fitted the water intercooler at the front and the supercharger. When the supercharger was put in, the standard clutch couldn't handle it, so we had that changed to a aftermarket heavy duty clutch, and there's no problems, plenty of power to the driveline. The kit that came from Brisbane and comprised of the intercooler, the supercharger, the computer, everything is available in Australia. The kit's actually made from all parts in Australia. The only thing that isn't, which is sourced in America, is the belt. Apparently the size is different, and basically it was a kit that was just bolt on. Because I run the fridge, I needed a dual battery system. I went a Megatronics unit from TJM, and I put an Optima AGM battery in. Inside, to keep an eye on the batteries, there's a battery monitor which keeps an eye on both batteries. It's also got an alarm, so if the battery does get down too low, the alarm will go off. The best place to put the compressor out of the way was right in the corner. There's a diff breather, so I've brought them right up so that there's no chance of getting any water in there. The suspension's been done. That was TJM suspension. They've had drop bars to reduce the angle of the CVs. The torsion bars have been changed. The front and the rear diff have got lockers in it. The front rear is a ARB locker. The rear is a TJM Pro locker. All running off the TJM compressor at the front. In the rear, it's got TJM coils. Airbags were fitted. Also XJ Cherokee. Underneath the tray is an air tank. So that runs off the front compressor for tools, or I use it to pump up the rear water tank on the trailer to pressurise that. The water tank's a 60 litre water tank. That gravity feeds out the rear of the vehicle. In the back, the seats have been taken out. Black Widow has a cargo barrier with 2 shelves, so you can store things in there. I don't need the other seats, so that's more practical. The reverse camera is mounted at the back of the car on the top of the canopy. It works when you go into reverse or when you flick a switch, so I can keep an eye on the trailer. In the canopy I've got 2 spare tyres, one for the car, one for the trailer, or they can be used for both. And they've also got 2 fridge plugs on each side, which I run 2 40 litre Engels, one on each side. The rims are ROH 16 inch. The tyres are Toyo Open Country 285 75 16s. They're a mud terrain. The mud terrain is perfect for our conditions here, and they're also pretty good on the bitumen, fairly quiet. The trailer was custom made for me by Better Built Trailers. It had the tinny tosser on top, the tent holder, the quad fits in there nicely. The water tank underneath, 70 litres. It's got 6 jerry cans for fuel. This thing is a bit thirsty. It's got breathers and filler stainless steel on one side. On the other side it's got a gas bottle holder, and underneath the gas bottle is a brake controller. It's taken me a while to set the car and the trailer up. Pretty well got it exactly how I want it, so all I've got to do now is use it. We try to get away quite a few times a year, and we normally go to places where it's a bit more remote and there's normally no chance of bumping into other people. I think the best thing about this setup is everything's there, and because of the size of it, I can actually get into a lot of places that you can't with vans. So to do travelling, it lets you get into a lot more remote and tighter access places. The great thing is it gives me the freedom to get out and explore Australia. Isn't it? Whoever dies with more toys wins.
G'day, I'm Muzz, and this is my tough XJ Cherokee. Suspension is a 6-inch Skyjacker kit available from Cal Off-Road. It's a bolt-on kit, still retains the leaf springs and the 5-link front. So I've gone with this anti-rock sway bar that's set for on-road and off-road. So basically I drive this car on the road and off the road, set up the same apart from tyre pressure. The rear bar was my design, and Chaos 4x4 in Belconnen actually built the bar and fitted it. It's integrated into the tow bar and 5mm steel plate. This car is suitable for all driving. It's great on tours, trails, road, as you can see, rock climbing, rock crawling. The interior is pretty well standard. We've obviously put in the ARB switches for the air lockers and the compressor, put in audio text, put in a nice stereo with a hard drive so CDs don't bounce. Diffs have been done by Differential Mechanical Services. They've done 4-5-6 ratios just to suit the tyres and make it a bit tougher, and obviously done the ARB lockers in there as well. The suspension kit I'm running here can handle up to 35-inch tyres. I've chosen to run the 33s because they perform heaps good enough for me and it avoids unmonitored tension. The wheels are the same as I had on my Wrangler. I don't know, I like the look of them. They're hard to clean, but alloy American racing wheels do the job nice. I haven't broken one or scratched or dented one yet. These are bushwhacker flares that I purchased. I got them in myself and installed them myself. These side steps are custom built by Chaos 4-wheel drive as well. Nice and light and small to match the theme of the car. There was one vulnerable spot after we did all this underneath was the transfer case. You could slide off on the subframe and you end up straight onto the transfer case. So Oztech Engineering in Queanbeyan built me a very nice little transfer case bash plate there. In the back end I've fitted bellows airbags. I found that carrying heavy loads and trailers and campers it sagged a bit in the rear. So that's eliminated that problem. With such a high lift you get a big angle on your drive shafts. So we've put the slip yoke eliminator in, and also put in a cardan joint to eliminate the vibration and also strengthen that drivetrain up. We designed this car to be capable on-road and off-road. It's our family car and our play car. So at the end of the day we've got the best of both worlds.
Hi, I'm Michael. This is my GQ comp truck. It's an 88 model GQ wagon. We cut it down to be an extra cab, and it's got a straight 6-cylinder 4.2 litre petrol in it. I bought this vehicle with the intention to build a comp truck. We just put it on a trailer, sent it to the Extreme. They did the cut, we got it back just as a rolling chassis. As soon as it came back, we splashed more paint on it, then we got into the suspension. In the front end we fitted Superior Superflex arms and 5-inch lift. On the rear the suspension setup is Superior long arms and Superior upper control arms. The shocks in the rear are FOA 2.5-inch remote reservoir shocks, and we're using EFS 5-inch coils. With a standard 6-cylinder, we obviously need a bit more horsepower in the competition scene. So for extra power, we put a turbo on it, TO4 turbo, and then we put nitrous oxide on top. The boost on the turbo runs 16 pounds. When the nitrous kicks in, that gives us another 150 horsepower on top of the power the motor's already putting out. We set the nitrous up, it gets armed from a switch inside of the cab, and then it only comes on wide open throttle. As soon as you back off that throttle, the nitrous turns off. It's power when you need it the most. When we added the extra horsepower to the motor, we kept breaking engine mounts. So that was the next thing we had to do, build stronger engine mounts. These motors in standard form are really strong. All we did was bolt a turbo on there, put the nitrous on there, and we flog it time and time again, and the thing just keeps on performing. The transfer case in this is a standard GQ transfer case, but we've added in Marks adapted 88% reduction gears to give you that extra low crawling speed. On the standard transfer case, on the rear of it, we bolted on a rear disconnect. This enables us to be able to disconnect the rear shaft from the front, and then we can do a front dig. Superior Engineering modded the transfer case for us internally, and now we can actually put it in 2-wheel low range. Front and rear drive shafts have been modded by Universal Drive Shafts in Brisbane. They've given us extra wall thickness because we kept bending the standard ones. The front diff is standard, but we fitted Superior Engineering diff guards and gusset kits to it. The rear diff's a H260 out of a GQ wagon. We've got an ARB air locker fitted in it, and we've got a Superior Engineering diff guard fitted to it as well. The brakes front and rear are standard GQ disc brakes. Rims and tyres on this, we run 40-inch Trepador made by Maxxis, and the rims are an American creeper lock, external bead lock. With the tyres, because we're primarily just doing competition with this, we went with the Maxxis 40-inch tyres because they're a sticky compound, so they're very aggressive and they stick really well to the rock. So far these Maxxis Trepador tyres have performed so well, there's no way we'd change brands. On the rear tray, we've built it so we can keep it as low as possible with checker plate guards sitting up higher than the rest of the tray so we can keep the weight down nice and low. Built into the tray itself, we've got the intercooler for the turbo, we've got an air tank for endless air, we've got the spare wheel carrier on top, and we've got the rear winch to get us out of trouble if we go too far in. For night drives, we've fitted rock lights front and rear to light up the rocks underneath so we know what we're going over. The bar work on this vehicle has an external cage welded to it, and that connects to the sliders and that connects to the front bull bar as well as the tray. And in doing that, it's extremely strong. The main switches are located in the middle of the car where both myself as driver and navigator can access it very easily to turn them on or off. I've got a couple extra gauges in there. I've got a Monster tacho and a boost gauge. For increased safety, there's also an internal roll cage. Running a comp truck really is a team effort, and lucky we're in with Team DGR, they help us out heaps. I love my truck, I love competing, but I also just love getting out and driving in the bush. Thank God the interview's over.
Australia really is the greatest place on earth, and I reckon the Outback is the heart and soul of our country. There's nothing I love better than getting in Milo and driving off into the vast peace and quiet that you only get when you're right out in the bush. And the best thing is, it's just down the end of your street too. So come on, this is where you'll feel the true heartbeat of Australia. Come out here and have a look.